Alright, Math 10s, this is our second video out of section 2.6, applying the trig ratios, and it starts off as a bit of a challenging word problem. It says, a card table is a regular octagon, and the measure across from one vertex to the opposite vertex is 6 feet. And the question is, what's the perimeter of the table? Without a picture, it would make this even more challenging. I mean, I think most of us can draw an octagon. Mine isn't even particularly good, but the measurement they give us is from one vertex across the other, all the way the other side. So for example, whether I went that way, or that way, or that way, they're saying that this is 6 feet all the way across, which means each of these would actually be 3 feet, and they're all equal, which is kind of the key to solving the problem. So dividing it into 8 equal triangles and realizing that not only are they equal triangles, they're all isosceles triangles, meaning that they all have a measurement of 3 on those two sides. Now that angle there wasn't given, and the way that I found it was just to realize that, oh, well, we've got 8 equal, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 equal little angles in the middle there. So I took 360 degrees and said that divided by 8 and found that that needed to be a 45-degree angle. So if I cared, I'd be able to find these two matching angles over here, but that's not really necessary to do the rest of the question. This is not a right angle triangle. So I wouldn't be able to use my normal sine, cos, tan relationships unless I somehow turn it into one. And the way that we do that is we just cut it in half. If we cut that triangle in half, it still has a measurement of 3 along that slanted side, which now has become the hypotenuse of this triangle. And we cut that middle angle in half, which now means that it's a 22.5-degree angle. And keeping in mind, the whole point of this question is to find the measurement around the outside of that table. I'm going to try to find this value x here, because if I realize, oh, each side has 2 of those x's, and since there are 8 sides, if I multiply x by 16, I'll actually have the perimeter of the table. So this sets up as a sine ratio opposite over hypotenuse. So sine of 22.5 degrees should be x over 3. So 3 times the sine of 22.5 degrees is going to give me x. And it gave me a little bit over 1.148, something like that, feet. Remembering what x actually was, that it was half of one side of that octagon table, I know that I need my perimeter to be 16 of those. And so 16x gives me 18.4 feet. Try not to round until you get to the final answer, but then, follow whatever rounding instructions you have. In this case, we didn't have any, so nearest tenth would be fine. But you just don't want to round at multiple stages of the question. For example, a student who rounded that to 23 degrees and then rounded this to something else would get quite a bit different answer. So round at the very end